Hello and welcome to the Blue Water Running Podcast. I'm your host, Maren, and the podcast is back for the outdoor track and field season. I'm excited for sunshine, warm breezes, probably snow, hail, freezing rain, gusting wind, etc. But I am excited to get back out watching Blue Water area athletes achieve amazing things. It's time for the 2025 Outdoor Track and Field Season Preview. Over the last few months, I've been looking at results from last year's season to compile the predictions and probable performances for this year's season. The statistics I use to write the season preview include the BWAC, MAC, and Catholic High School League results, Blue Water area meets such as the Marysville Invitational, Muskrat Invitational, Blue Water Meet of Champions, the Thumb Meet, and the Macomb County Meet, and of course, the regional and state finals qualifying and placements. A couple of notes about the process. Consistency was king. When looking at so many performances across a months-long time frame, there had to be consistent participation and placement by an athlete throughout the season to really get a feel for their performance or improvement potential. It didn't include incoming freshmen, who would be last year's 8th graders, as sometimes they end up participating in a different spring sport or they just don't come out for track in high school. I also did not factor in the majority of PRs that came from any meets last year that were hand-timed, nor will I use them for top times or marks lists this season. When you see PRs for everyone across the board by huge margins at a hand-timed meet, especially in sprint events, that's usually a sign that the times are inaccurate. So with the requirement of fat timing for state meet qualification, it's just a more reliable standard. Early qualifying marks, or EQs, are going to add a new dynamic to reporting on racing for this year, as athletes can now meet a state meet qualifying mark earlier than regionals, which will likely change the landscape of Michigan track and field. An EQ is defined by the MHSAA as an athlete who achieves the mark in any round of a valid pre-qualified event which meets the proper standards, fat timed and 6+ teams. That means you're qualified to participate in the LP Lower Peninsula Finals in that event. Finally, I know I will miss someone who deserves a nod or a mention. With such a large amount of data across a long period, it is just inevitable. I do cross-check and reference and scour athletic.net repeatedly, but Blue Water Running is just me. I work a full-time job during the day, and that sometimes includes wrangling some kindergartners. So doing this for free, sometimes things get missed. I'm human. Also, my apologies now if I mispronounce your name, because I'm sure I will. All right, let's get into this season ahead. Okay, starting with the sprints in the 100 and 200. Anchor Bay High School's Jerry Hansen was first or second at every MAC Red matchup in the 100, and he claimed runner-up honors in the league for both the 100 and the 200. He was fourth in his D1 regional against sub-11 sprinters, and then ninth in a very talented field at the Macomb County Meet. At that meet, the 100-meter dash winner actually ran a faster time than the winner at the D1 state meet. Hansen has PRs of 11.3 and 23.1. Macomb Lutheran North's Isaac Miller is more of a relay specialist. He doesn't run a lot of the open events, but the Mustangs competed at the state meet in the 4x1, the 4x2, and Miller has split under 11 in those events and then 23.1 in the open 200. The same applies to his teammates, Hudson McDonald, Jack May, Will Haskins, and Clay Thompson. Chase Batani of Almont was first in the 100 in every league meet, was second at the BWAC Championships, won the Davison Twilight Classic and the Marlette Invitational, and has a best of 11.3. Now that Ethan Dienanath of North Branch has graduated, Chase has a clearer path to outright domination, especially considering that he will race in D3 and is the defending regional champion. Now, his teammate, Tim Miller, has 100 and 200 best of 11.57 and 23.92. Marine City's Austin Brown has a sub 11.5 time and then a 200 PR of 23.3. And he won the 100-meter dash at the Algonac Muskrat Classic and the Blue Water Meet of Champions. North Branch's Michael Gorman has a 100 best of 11.34. He was third in the BWAC Championships. Alan Valdivinos from Imlay City was second in the BWAC championship, and that was in the 200, and he consistently runs sub-24s. Joseph Bacito of Richmond has run low 11s in the 100-meter dash, and Jack Justin of Marysville has a best of 11.69 and was second in the MAC Gold. In D1, Port Huron Northern's Alex Jamieson was second in the open 200-meter dash at the Blue Water Meet of Champions in 23.52, and his teammate Isaiah Lopez ran 11.4 for the 100. Vasily Kasparian, 11.56 for the 100, and then 23.54 for the 200. So they have a pretty good group of sprinters there. And St. Clair's Avery Cody has a 200-meter PR of 22.99, and he made it into the finals at regionals where he placed 7th. He is the Marysville Invitational and the MAC Gold champ. In D4, Kai Fisher of Memphis won the 200 meters at the Green Devil Invite, the Algonac Friday Night Lights Invitational, the GTC East League Meet, and he was the only freshman to make it to the state meet in the 200 meters for D4, where he finished 17th with a PR of 22.84. He also placed well in several meets in the 100. In the adaptive wheelchair events, Luke Bowman of Anchor Bay is a state champion in the 200, the 400, and the shot put. In the 400 meters, Macomb Lutheran North's Roman Cody has run a 51.52 open and was regional runner-up in the event, placing 25th later at the state meet. Kai Fisher of Memphis was the GTC East League champ in the event and runner-up at the Blue Water Meet of Champions. His PR is 53.05. Almont's Matthew Boholsky ran his PR in the event last year, 52.48. He won the Marlette Invitational, the Davison Twilight Classic, and the Blue Water Meet of Champions, narrowly outleaning Kai Fisher, and qualified for the state meet for his second straight year. Boholsky's teammate Nolan Maxlow had a 53.7 PR by the season's end, and he just missed qualifying for states, finishing third in his regional. And Boholsky and him went 1-2 in the 400 at the Davison Twilight Classic. Croslex's Noah Jackson was third in the BWAC with a 53.53, and Bryce Barkowska of North Branch was fourth, 53.55. Enrique Cardenas of Imlay City ran 53.8 by the season's end. Marine City's Evan Martin was third at the Blue Water Meet of Champs, and he has a PR of 53.37. So there's quite a few good 400-meter runners in our area. Jonah Conarts of Anchor Bay runs D1 and is mainly a hurdler, but he has run a 53 this indoor season, while his teammate Brandon Zemer ran a 53 flat as a freshman outdoors and finished in the top 10 at several large invitationals, including the Davison Twilight Classic and the Macomb County Championships, which featured, by the way, the state champion in the 400 that year, which was Shamar Hurd of Chippewa Valley. Moving on to middle distance and long distance, 800 meters. Now, the boys 800 is pretty much wide open at the D2 level. Many of the graduated seniors are gone that were the favorites from last year. So Thomas Kahn returns as the top BWAC finisher, taking third last year in the league, and he narrowly missed that AQ at the really fast regional race. He got sixth in 2 flat. And if we look at regionals from years past, if you ran a 2 flat, you were usually second. So all predictions point to a sub 2-minute time this season for him. Yale's Wyatt Murtos or Algonac's Julian Walker could do well in the event. They both have distance training under their belts. They've had solid improvements during their cross-country seasons. Josh Macri of Macomb Lutheran North is the fastest on paper with a PR of 2:02 indoors, which bested what he ran outdoors by over 10 seconds. So big improvement. And his teammate, Vasilios Kirchhoff, has also run in 2:03 outdoors, and both of them have been consistently racing indoors during the winter. In D1, Anchor Bay's Aaron Osterman has been racing indoors as well for 16 Ways Track Club, and he ran pretty consistently between 2:04 and 2:06, and then raced the 800 quite a bit last season outdoors with a PR at 2:04. In the 1600 meters, a lot of the same names are going to repeat here. Yale's Murtos at 4:42. He is the fastest BWAC returner. Algonac's Walker, 4:49. Yale's Ted Rutkowski, 4:49. Once again, Josh Macri of MLN was pretty dominant in cross country and has the area's fastest PR outdoors with a 4:38, but has already gone indoors at 4:33. And then his teammate, Xavier Roman, has 4:38 outdoors, 4:37 indoors. Once again, both are coming off that strong cross-country season where they went 1-2 at the cross-country regional. And then Anchor Bay's Greg Vogt ran 4:39 outdoors last year and already went 4:37 indoors. 3,200 meters, again, same names, Macri, Roman. They have bests of 10:41 and 10:21 respectively. And like I said, had a great cross-country season. Anchor Bay's Greg Vogt has a 10:04 indoor best and a 9:49 outdoors, which placed him 5th last year in Macomb County, and that was behind his own teammate who eventually won the state meet, which was Thomas Westfall. In the BWAC, it's pretty much anyone's race. It's really hard to pick a favorite as all the heavy hitters from last year have graduated. Again, you could look for Walker, Rutkowski, maybe Connor Pepin of Croslex, who dropped over 2 minutes off his 5K time during the course of his first ever cross-country season, where he finished 4th at regionals and was a state qualifier. So if he's running track and he's going to do distance, that's an impressive first year for him to get a little start on his distance running for track. A couple other distance mentions. I want to throw some names out that I think are solid distance runners and could do well. Jerry Westrick of St. Clair. He is a 2:06 800 runner and a 4:52 1600 runner. His teammate Ethan Krieger, St. Clair, 4:45 1600. Braden Priestcorn, he's run an indoor 1600 of 4:46, also for the Saints. Carson Prone from Port Huron Northern, he has a 4:56 1600 and a 10:24 3200. Sophomore Colton Gribbs of Almont has raced a 5:06 in the mile and a 2:17 in the 800, and so has Levi Fitchett of Dryden. Almont's D3, Dryden's D4. Imlay City's Isaac Summer went from a 2:14 800 to a 2:08, and then from a 5:09 mile to a 4:44. And last but not least, Macomb Lutheran North's Jack McMahon has a 2:06 in the 800. All right, moving on to hurdles. Jonah Konarts of Anchor Bay established himself as one of the top 60-meter hurdlers in the state during the indoor season, and he is the returning MAC Red champ in the 110s. He has a PR of 15.2, and he's also a very good 300-meter hurdler. He won the Macomb County Meet in the 300s with a PR of under 40 seconds, 39.98. He just missed qualifying for the state finals. He took 3rd in both of those events just by like tenths of a second. So hopefully this year with those early qualifying standards, he can make that trip to compete in the state meet. Colin Boulard of St. Clair just squeezed in under the 110 AQ at the regional last year, and he was one of only 7 Michigan sophomores that competed in that event at the state meet. He set his 110 hurdle PR of 15.54 by taking runner-up at the Blue Water Meet of Champions and ran his 300 hurdle PR, 42.1, at regionals. His fellow teammates, Avery Cody, was 5th at regionals in the 110s in 16.1, and he has a PR of 15.6. Now, Chase Batani's speed serves him well here again, because with a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place finish in the 110 hurdles all season long, he qualified for the D3 state meet. He posted a PR of 15.5, and his teammate, Brody Corneau, ran his PR of 16.69 to make it into the regional final just as a freshman. Dylan Bittner of Croslex has a 300 hurdle PR of 43.7, which was just fast enough to qualify for D2 regional competition. And Marine City's Michael Blunden has run 43.79. Evan O'Brien of Macomb Lutheran North ran his PR of 15.72 to take 6th at regionals. And Joseph Pasito of Richmond was 3rd in the 110s for the BWAC Championship and at the Blue Water Meet of Champions, and his season best is 16.04. Now, due to graduated students and relay leg changes, it's obviously not possible to completely predict a relay time or a team. So the relay preview is really just based on any returning runners and the season times from last year. For example, Marine City had 2 of the fastest sprint relays in 2024, but they graduated almost their entire relay, so obviously it's really hard to predict what this season's team will look like. So for the 4x100 meter relay, Macomb Lutheran North had the fastest time of 44.19. That was Jack May, Clay Thompson, Isaac Miller, Hudson McDonald. They were third at regionals. They just missed a state AQ spot. Sixth in Macomb County, and their relay is the fastest out of the Blue Water area covered schools. Port Huron Northern, they are D1. They have a time of 44.89. Vasily Kasparian, Isaiah Lopez, Colin Landshut. They did graduate a member of their relay, but they placed fifth in a very quick D1 regional. North Branch comes in at 44.96 with Michael Gorman, Wyatt Muxlow, Liam McIntyre, and they won the BWAC meet. They were fifth at regionals, but they need to add a fourth leg. Port Huron High, 45.69. Jace Garcia, Jordan Barksdale, Jalen Young, Dion Edwards, third at the Marysville Invitational and the MAC Gold. Marysville comes in at 46.1. Aiden Murphy, Trey Cummins, Jack Justin. They were first in the MAC Gold. Lots of room for improvement because they have a young underclassmen team. Almont, 46.56. Eric Haddon, Brody Corneau, Tim Miller. They are just missing that second place finish in their D3 regional. So if this relay could sub in Matthew Boholski, who ran on the state qualifying 4x2 relay, he has more flexibility in running events because he's not long jumping this year. So if that is who their fourth leg becomes, then I think that time will drop significantly. Imlay City at 46.59. Brett Lestage, Tyler Kanai, Alan Valdivinos. Imlay City graduated one relay leg, but they had a pretty significant improvement from the beginning of their season to mid-May, where they dropped their fastest times. Croslex at 46.6. Ethan Jackson, John Hurlbert, Isaiah Solis, Noah Jackson. Another young relay that dropped a lot of time from the season's beginning to end. Looking at the 4x200 meter relay, Almont tops the list here at 133.25 with Tim Miller, Nolan Maxlow, and Matthew Boholski. They were the BWAC and regional champs. They did lose a relay leg to graduation, but they have the fastest time of any area team, and they have state meet experience. Port Huron High comes in at 133.75. Owen Palmer and Landon Wesh are the two remaining legs, and they were third at the Blue Water Meet of Champions, but the Red Hawks need to find half of a relay. North Branch at 134.75. Bryce Burkowska, Michael Gorman, and Wyatt Muxlow. Fourth at regionals, second in the BWAC, down one senior. Macomb Lutheran North at 134.98. Jack May, Hudson McDonald, Will Haskins, and Isaac Miller. They were second at regionals, fourth in Macomb County, and 27th at states, with all returning and many other athlete options that they could sub in if needed. Marysville is at 135.03. Jack Justin, Owen Krantz, Mason Delore. They placed third at regionals, and they just missed a state qualification. The Vikings went on to win the Blue Water Meet of Champions, and they did lose one senior from that relay. Imlay City comes in at 135.73 with Brett Lestage, Ethan Everhart, and Alan Valdivinos. Same relay members from the 4x1, same late season improvement. They won the Bad Axe Hatchet Invitational in this event, but need a fourth runner. Okay, the 4x400 relay, or the hype event as it's often known since it finishes off a meet. Anchor Bay had the fastest area time last year in a 3:31.21. Jonah Konartz and Brandon Zemer were both part of that relay. The Tars need to replace two guys. One of them is former state champ Thomas Westfall. So there are some pretty big shoes to fill, but with Osterman or Vogt or maybe Hansen bumping up from the short sprints, I think that they could fill those two spots and do well. Macomb Lutheran North clocked in at 3:31.5. Marino Martoni, Jack May, Will Haskins, Roman Cody. The Mustangs all come back with one of the fastest times in the region, and they have state meet experience. They were 17th in D2 at states. Port Huron Northern, 3:33.12. Alex Jameson, Kenny Thomas, Andrew Becker. Now, they are the defending winners from the event at the Blue Water Meet of Champions last year. They did lose two seniors, so they had strong 400, 800 times and running in this event. that was a definite plus. So it is a challenge to reload, but we'll see how they do. North Branch clocks in at 334. Bryce Borkowska, Valentino Castaneda, and Tommy Kahn. Now, the Broncos were undefeated in the BWAC. They won 3 out of 4 invitational meets in which they competed. They were the favorite in the event at regionals last year on their home track, and they probably would have run a state AQ, but unfortunately they were disqualified because they dropped the baton. Now, the graduation of Ethan Dienenath leaves a pretty big hole. He was a fast 400 runner and the anchor leg position. But with a solid 3 returning, I think they do have a legitimate shot at being a relay contender in this event. Yale comes in at 336. Mikey Cowie, Wyatt Murtos, who else? Don't know, because they were second in the BWAC, but they lost their 2 fastest legs. So they're in the challenging position of finding half their relay as well. Cardinal Mooney at 336, Jack Lazinski, John Bailey. They are 2 returning, but they lost 2 all-state runners. That is a tough rebuild for a pretty small school. Almont, 339, Nolan Maxlow, Matthew Boholski, Adam St. Ange. They are a D3 state qualifying relay, and they need to find one more 400 runner to fill in. For the 4x800 meter relay, this event has frequently been pretty much a 2-team battle at regionals between St. Clair and Yale. But with the graduation of 3 out of 4 of the runners on both the Bulldogs and Saints relays, it's really anyone's game this year. Yale comes in with the fastest time at 8:02, but Murtos is the lone remaining runner from last year's team. They were BWAC champs. They were regional champs. They were undefeated all spring until the state meet where they placed 10th. But Yale always has a strong distance crew, and they have some people that they can pull in. Ted Rutkowski's chipped in a few times throughout the season. He has experience. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Same for St. Clair. They had a time of 8:15. Jerry Westrick is the only returning runner from their state qualifying relay. But again, Ethan Krieger subbed in at the state meet. He could contribute. And just like Yale, the Saints have cross-country runners who are always strong in distance and could make an impact in this relay. For Anchor Bay, they lost a pretty senior heavy relay. They came in at 8:23. That was including state champ Thomas Westphal. That's a tough rebuild. But they have Greg Vogt, Aaron Osterman, Brandon Zemer, all had big cross-country improvements, all spent the majority of the winter racing indoors, so it's feasible to find a 4th and do well. And then Macomb Lutheran North at 8:23, Grant Garner, Josh Macri, Vasilios Kirchhoff, Jack McMahon. They were first at every regular season dual meet in their league, and they won quite a few invitationals. They were 4th at regionals, and they have several athletes in interchangeable distance legs that they could use to drop more time, especially considering the success of their cross-country team. Now, Cardinal Mooney was 7th in the state at the D4 finals. Their PR is 8:21. That's Jack Lazinski and Evan Jacobs returning, but that was with individual 1,600 meter state champion Tyler Len and all-state 1,600 meter and 3,200 meter runner Isaac Zamet. So it is going to be, I think, very difficult for this small private school to pull in 2 runners of that caliber that could go that fast. Algonac comes in at 8:38. Nathan Clemens, Julian Walker, Owen Bindit. They need a 4th. The Muskrats ran in a D3 regional where the second place team only needed a 9:15 to still qualify for the state meet. So chances are they can shoot for the state meet again if they can find a 4th. They were also the BWAC runner-up in the relay to Yale. All right, let's take a look at field events. So in the shot put and discus, Andrew Stars of Macomb Lutheran North is the top returning thrower in the area with a PR of 47.7 in the shot put, which was second place at regionals. He won regionals in the discus in his best of 146.6, which was 10 feet further than the prior year, and he was the Catholic High School League runner-up in both throwing events. Cameron Gramzow of Anchor Bay had a great indoor season. He threw for Club Kaizen Throws, where he was all-state in the discus. He took 7th in 148.7. He also threw his shot put PR of 44.9, and both of those were significant improvements over his 2024 season best. So look for him to make an impact in the MAC Red, Macomb County, and his D1 regional. Now in the BWAC, it's the Bickle and Haywood battle. Eli Bickle of North Branch has shot and disc PRs of 47.1 and 149 feet, respectively, while Yale's Zach Haywood has PRs of 43.5 and 145 feet in the discus. Haywood won the BWAC championship in the discus, with Bickle taking the shot put, but then Bickle won the shot put regional title and qualified in the discus, competing at the MHSAA finals. Bickle also won the Blue Water Meet of Champions in both events, while Haywood won the Marysville Invitational in the discus. Lincoln Watkins of Port Huron High has thrown 48.4 in the shot and 132.2 in the discus, and he won the Mac White while placing third in the discus at the Blue Water Meet of Champs. And Noah Northrup of Marine City has a shot put best of 44.10.5. He was third at the Blue Water Meet of Champions, while Chase Walker of Armada and Caden Lohr of St. Clair have both thrown 125 feet in the discus, with Port Huron Northern's Noah Wiggin with best of 44.8.5 in the shot and 125 feet 8 inches in the discus. Taking a look at pole vaults, Kieran Whitlam of Macomb Lutheran North spent most of the winter ranked in the top 10 indoors in Michigan. He saw improvements of a foot to vault him over 14 feet, and he was undefeated the entire 2024 season before he got to the state meet. He returns as the defending Macomb County champ and the D2 regional champ. Austin Brown of Marine City vaulted 11 feet to win the MAC Blue. In D1, Ethan Usry of Anchor Bay set a huge PR of almost 2 feet to vault 11.9 at regionals, and Port Huron High's Owen Palmer won the MAC Gold with his best of 11.6. His teammate, McConnelly Price, has a best of 10 feet. Almont's Chase Batani, he's been atop the area standings for pole vault most of his high school career. His best stands at 14.6 outdoors, but he has vaulted 15 feet unattached. He was first in every outdoor meet he entered the entire season up until regionals. Then he was third at the D3 state finals, earning a podium finish. Levi Opperman of North Branch had a strong freshman debut last spring. He finished second to Batani in the BWAC finals, and he ended his season with his vault PR of 10 feet. Brady Pasternak was another North Branch Bronco freshman vaulting, and he cleared 9.6. Alfred Schweihofer of Yale has a 10-foot best, and he was third in the BWAC, and Imlay City's Devon Duckert has a PR of 10 feet. In the MAC Gold, Mason Delore was third for Marysville, and his vault PR is 10.6. For high jump, Marine City's John Coverdale was undefeated in high jump the entire season. He won the MAC Blue Water Meet of Champs. He won regionals. His best jump is 6.3, and if he can clear that at the state meet, he should be on the all-state podium. That was good enough for a top 8 spot last year. Isaiah Lopez of Port Huron Northern has cleared 6.2 indoors and 5.9 outdoors, but he didn't jump more than once during the 2025 indoor season. Liam McIntyre of North Branch won the BWAC champs at 5'10", and he was a freshman, so he's already cleared 6 feet. His teammate Valentino Castaneda has cleared 5'8". Eli Garcia of Imlay City was also a freshman, finishing second to McIntyre at the BWAC champs with a best of 5'7", while Max Knoll of Croslex jumped 5'8", and Tim Short of Memphis won the GTC East in 5'8". For long jump, the area's dominant jumper last year was Matthew Boholski, who is the returning BWAC and D3 regional champ from Almont, and has also jumped over 20 feet. Unfortunately, he will not be able to long jump this year. He was cleared to run, but he broke his fibula during fall football, had a surgery, and that will keep him off the jumping runway for this 2025 track season. So the only returning BWAC jumper in the top 5 that didn't graduate is Giovanni Pina of Imlay City, who had a freshman best of 18.4.25. Macomb Lutheran North's Isaac Miller has long jumped 1911. He made the podium at the Catholic League Championship. Port Huron High's Lincoln Watkins hasn't really jumped more than a few times, but he does have a best of 19.6.75 from 2024. And Isaiah Lopez of Port Huron Northern has jumped 19.8, while Simon Stockwell of Anchor Bay has gone 19.10. All right. That wraps it up for the 2025 Outdoor Track and Field season preview. I can't wait to get back out there and see all of you running, hurdling, jumping, throwing. You can find results and articles on bluewaterrunning.org or our social media sites throughout the season. You can follow Blue Water Running on Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also check out the photo albums of meets that will be linked through the website and download and share them. That would be great if you did, because it helps spread the word about Blue Water Running's mission, which is to feature and celebrate the achievements of high school and collegiate cross-country and track and field athletes from our area. Coverage of Blue Water Running is sponsored in part by Elite Feet of Port Huron. If you need running shoes, spikes, or running apparel, they have a friendly and knowledgeable staff to help you find just what you need, and they're big fans of running too. They are located at 327 Huron Ave in downtown Port Huron. Verlindy Insurance, located in Richmond, Michigan, is a new supporter of coverage on Blue Water Running. Now, training as an athlete teaches you resilience and preparation. Apply those lessons to your life with their insurance plans. Be ready for anything with them by your side. I have my home, auto, and umbrella insurance policies with Verlindy, and I can tell you from personal experience that their rates and customer services are second to none. I have 2 teenage drivers and a dishwasher leak that just flooded my kitchen, so trust me when I say they're the best. You can visit verlindyinsurance.com or email Noah at Verlindy Insurance, that's VERLINDE insurance.com for more information. If you are interested in sponsoring coverage or partnering with Blue Water Running as an advertiser to reach and support local athletes, please reach out via our website or social media channels. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the Blue Water Running podcast, and I'll see you soon.